Welcome, everybody, to the Fantasy Forecast. I am your first host, BigZ. He is your other host, Grindberg. We are BigZ and Grindberg. This is the Fantasy Forecast. Welcome to the Fantasy Forecast with BigZ and Grindberg. Grindberg and BigZ. We are your hosts, BigZ and Grindberg. Not brought to you by Polar, but hey, reach out. I love your seltzer. What are we doing today, Grindberg?
Well, we are going over some rookie spotlights. So we've had some interaction in our Discord on the Fantasy Football Advice Network, and asked for some rookie spotlights. They've asked for a couple of things, and that's what we've based the next couple of shows off of, your input, and we want to make sure our viewers are getting the most out of us. So we are doing rookie spotlights this week. Biggs, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, I'm doing fantastic. I had a really great podcast earlier with Noah Hills from NoahMoreParties.com. Everybody go check out his running back ranks. He does Devy, Dynasty, everything, rookies, everything. It's fantastic. And he was such a brilliant guest. We talked for 2 hours. It was amazing. But I am here to help our folks in the ESPN redraft leagues, the Yahoo redraft leagues, the NFL.com redraft leagues. All of you guys, our intrepid listener base, we're trying to help you win your home league, your family league, your work league. So we're going to be talking about some rookies today that you're going to want to keep an eye on. We already went over strategy. We're talking about stacking wide receivers in PPR. So my first guy is going to be a wide receiver. And you're going to want to look for this guy kind of in your wide receiver 5, 6, 7 tier. Definitely a bench guy, but somebody that you want to take when other people are, grabbing the veterans, right? I see a very high ceiling for this guy, and I'll tell you why. And first, go ahead and like and subscribe, hit the bell so that next time we drop something, you'll be notified. And we'll give you all of this fire-ass content from now until August and throughout the season. Okay, so my first guy is a wide receiver from University of Louisville. He was a Cardinal. And maybe it does look like he just got knocked out by a forearm shiver to the back of his neck, and he kind of twitched a little bit. But, I'd have gone down from that shot, and I'm a pretty big guy. Anyway, Jamari Thrash from University of Louisville is a wide receiver that I really love in drafts, and I'll tell you why. The first reason is, and I was talking to Noah about this, Noah Hills today. When we're looking at guys who are coming into the NFL, what we want to see is guys who are coming from lesser conferences and moving into bigger conferences. We don't want to see guys who start off in the SEC at Alabama and then transfer through the portal to a different school, maybe a lesser school than an SEC school. Well, Jamari Thrash started at Georgia State, which is in the Sun Belt, and he upgraded. He transferred up into the ACC, so a much higher competition level, and he absolutely held his own. Now, going over some of these wide receiver metrics as far as production on the field, Jamari Thrash was third in the class overall as an all-around wide receiver. There was nothing that he was particularly the best at, but all of his metrics were in the top 66th percentile, okay? He was third in the class in overall production, and one of the big things, and we like to talk about wide receiver separation, guys who can separate off the line out of man coverage. And Jamari Thrash, out of this whole rookie class, the top 24 wide receivers coming into the draft, he was third in yards per route run versus man. Now, yards per route run is a metric that we put a lot of stock in. And against man coverage specifically, it means that he's beating his guys off the line and he's getting to the ball. He was only behind Marvin Harrison Jr. and Rome Odunze in YPRR versus man coverage. He was ahead of Malik Neighbors, spoiler alert. He's an elite separator. The guy gets away from the cornerback who's trying to be in his pocket, and he gets to the ball. He was 5th in missed tackles forced per route run. That means once he gets the ball, the guy trying to tackle him is slipping off him, or he's juking him out, and he's adding a couple extra yards. Hence, the yards per route run goes up. He was 7th in the class in first downs per route run. That means that of the top 24, he's definitely in the top third of those guys in being a target for his quarterback. And Louisville is not a slouch of a program. And then finally, when we get a guy who has the ball in his hands, he's targeted on a third down, he beats his man, he catches the ball, we want to see yards after the catch. He's got to slip that tackle for the yards per route run. He's got to make the manufactured missed tackles. And he was 6th in the entire class in yards after the catch per reception. Better than Marvin Harrison Jr., better than Rome Odunze, better than Brian Thomas Jr., better than Troy Franklin, and better than Keon Coleman. Jamari Thrash, take him as one of your core bench guys. He might not learn the NFL system right away. It might be the second half, but as long as you have enough wide receivers and you stash him, he will definitely help you when playoff time comes around.
Yeah, I mean, and he's a guy that not many people know about because he's not one of those top high-end guys that was just seen all the time. And Jamari Thrash has got a lot of really good metrics, like you'd mentioned, a good landing spot, some good draft capital, and he could really sneak up the draft boards. And like Biggs had mentioned, a late round guy. He's not a guy that you're going to be putting a whole lot of investment into, but you're going to see him in those later rounds, and he's going to be a guy that a lot of your league mates won't even know the name, and now you will, and you'll be able to scoop him up and get him at a good value. So Jamari Thrash is not trash. He is thrashing those
and it's
D-backs.
It's not like there aren't some flags to his game. Number one, he's a little bit older. He just turned 23, so he's going to be entering his rookie season as a 23-year-old. That's not great. You want to see, a young age. He did have an okay breakout, but it wasn't until his senior year at Georgia State when he broke 1,000 yards. So he was 21 at the time, which is fine for a breakout age of 21, but it was for a lesser program. So what it reminds me of, and not necessarily with like he did have a whole lot of Senior Bowl steam, kind of like another guy that I'm trying to allude to, and that's Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua was a 5th rounder, and one of the things we look at is draft capital and how that affects wide receiver performance. And it is true that the higher the draft capital, the more likely somebody is going to have a top 12 wide receiver season. But you can find those gems who are going to be a top 24 guy, a top 36 guy, that will vastly outperform their average draft position, become a total value for you. You won't have wasted the pick if you get him late enough, and he's going to surprise some people. So once he gets into rookie camp and he has the offensive coordinator watching him, and the offensive coordinator watches what he does in training camp to their veteran cornerbacks, he's going to be a guy that they're talking up in training camp. If you're following all the beat writers on Twitter, you're going to see a lot of video of Jamari Thrash getting open, making catches. He's got good hands. So this is the kind of guy that creates value for himself and creates championships for you.
Great take, Biggs. That's why we're here. We're here because we're building championships for you folks, okay? Now, let's get into my rookie spotlight here. And
hey, Grindberg, who's your rookie?
Well, my rookie here is a guy that, he's going up and down, like, as far as his draft stock is going right now. Earlier in the offseason here, before the combine, he was a guy that people had in the top 5 pretty religiously, and now he's kind of floating in between the 5 to 10 range, and I'm going to tell you why right now. And my rookie spotlight is
That's the
Ooh,
guy
that's
from
nice.
Oregon that turned Bo Nix's career around, isn't it?
It is. It
What's his
is.
name again?
And his name is Troy Franklin.
That's
And
it.
with a wide receiver class as talented and as deep as this 2024 rookie class is, many managers are having a hard time putting the pieces together. It doesn't help that these guys keep rising and falling down the rankings after each testing event passes. I'm going to deep dive and spotlight a rookie wide receiver that many had pegged as a top 5 wide receiver in this class a month ago and now has slipped down many draft boards after the combine. Troy Franklin's lackluster combine started when he ran a 40-yard dash at 4.41, tied for 10th among the 30 wide receivers to run it. He was expected to be one of the fastest guys out there, so that was a disappointment. That despite the 1.61 second 10-yard split, which was last in the same group. So his speed did not show up at the combine, which, like I said earlier, was something that people were really looking out. You know, out of that group, he didn't test very well. He was tied for 18th, in the broad jump. One of 9 wide receivers to run the 3-cone 20-yard dash. Franklin did that in 6.9 seconds, 5th out of the 9. So it was just like kind of a mediocre showing for him. And the disappointment continued when he measured 6 foot 178, so under 6'2", 176 pounds, 1 inch shorter and 11 pounds lighter than he was listed weight. Needless to say, in many circles, Troy Franklin's stock fell after the combine. But I'm here to tell you that I am still really high on Troy Franklin after the combine, and here is why. In 2023, Franklin had a monster season for the Ducks. In 13 games, he caught 81 passes, 1,383 yards, and 14 touchdowns, resurging Bo Nix's career. And he set single season school records in receiving and touchdown yards. So, Troy Franklin, a great career, yards per route run sitting at 2.54. He is pretty good against both man and zone coverages. His first down per route run ranks him 4th in the class, which means he's being targeted when it matters, when the team needs to convert the first down. That's critical. His QB rating when targeted is 128, ranking him 4th in the class. All of these metrics are really important in trying to predict the future usage, and Franklin hits well in most of these categories. Franklin has a really good combination of speed, size. Even though he weighed smaller than expected, he has some physical play to his game. He is a player that can play all over the field and has had success in all areas. They used him more last year off the line with design plays, as well as used him more in the intermediate routes where he found success. Troy Franklin is fast. He is still a burner, even though his 40 time only ranked him 10 in the class. We can invest the farm and just on that metric. It's not a metric you could just put all your eggs in one basket on. I still think the NFL teams like Troy Franklin, and he should garner first round draft capital. Troy Franklin is now my wide receiver 5 in this class because I just moved Ladd McConkey to 4, so still very high on Troy Franklin.
What? Ladd McConkey, my wide receiver 2 in the class. And that's according to these metrics that I'm talking about. That has nothing to do with what's coming up, which is going to be draft capital, landing spot, things like that. But at this point, based purely on certain production metrics, Troy Franklin is my wide receiver 5. Hey, Mike, have you ever heard of a guy named Marvin Harrison? He used to play wide receiver for the Colts. Well, he's got a kid. I don't know if you knew this, but he's got a kid who plays wide receiver also. Went to Ohio State, and now he's steamed up as possibly the first rookie pick in this draft. It's a shootout between him and Caleb Williams. He's definitely the consensus number 1 wide receiver. In my metrics model, guess where he ranks?
6th.
6th, 1 spot behind Troy Franklin. So let everybody else take Marvin Harrison Jr. and he's gonna be really good. I'm not saying he's not gonna be really good. I'm just saying if you want to look for value, you want to find guys like Troy Franklin, Malachi Corley, Lad McConkey, Jamari Thrash. These are guys who they might not be, they might not turn into Justin Jefferson. Probably not going to happen. But over the course of the next couple of years, they could have really, really big years just based on their abilities in the NCAA. So, those are two rookies that we're spotlighting, that we're targeting as wide receivers in our redraft leagues, and you should be too.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. We will be back with another episode. More great content for you. Like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, comment. And if you want some of these metrics, or if you want some other things, ask us comments in the comment section on this video, or you can hit me up on Twitter at BigBonedFFB. That's Frank Bravo, not SSB or SFB. It's FFB. And Mike, where can they find you?
You can find me on X or Twitter at FFCanuck99. And you know what? Also try and hit us up on the Fantasy Football Advice Network Discord page and on the website, because, you know, there's some good Discord coming on there. That's where we got some show ideas. So please hit us up there. What a great show, Biggs. Next up on a slate, we're going to talk about a couple free agent situations that changed quite a bit in the last little while. Not exactly a certain free agent, but we're going to talk about the situation around certain guys in lineups. And I think it's going to be really, 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 really good, man. I think it's going to be a really good show. So
I think I might have an idea who I want to talk about.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. You saw the show sheet, and we've talked about him 1,000 times on 1,000 different podcasts that we've done. But he's a my guy.
Yeah, and you know what? He's soon to be my guy too, because Biggs has really changed my mind on him. So for all of us at the Fantasy Football Advice Network, thanks for tuning in to the Fantasy Forecast, and we'll see you next time.
We hope you win.